Hello, hello, hello. We are back. Welcome to another episode of Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter, and my amazing co-host, Rob Smith. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Great. Good to see you again.
Yes, we haven't seen each other in a while. Sorry with the show and everything, schedules. Rob got a little sick, and all that stuff. So we went to the Oscars together. That was fun. Hope I wasn't too annoying to you, as your guests. It was like, yeah, Ms. Bo, I don't want to hang
No,
out
it
with
was amazing. And you wrote a dope article about your experience there that everybody should check out on blackfilm.com. It was really, really well written. And I loved it. It was a great experience.
What was your favorite part of either like an award winning or a show or someone performing? Like, what did you like the best out
I
of it?
love the musical performance for Sinners. That was beautiful. And of course, like Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, just seeing Sinners do so. I mean, of course, it was the most nominated film in history, but it didn't compute in wins, but the wins that it did get were phenomenal. For best cinematographer, her being the best female, the first woman to win that accolade. So it was like there were a lot of major moments for the night.
Yeah, I think that was the first, and then I guess the tie that happened before in history. So we saw some amazing first, and then like some stuff that I was like, oh shoot, I was actually there for. So that was the most exciting thing for me is like seeing things for the first time, so I can be like, oh, I'm a part of history. I was like in the room, and then also the films, the indie films, and all those categories. The people in our kind of area, they were going crazy. Like I've never like people hearing this from home, but the energy in that arena and in that theater was just amazing and electric. So it didn't matter who, like everybody got love. So I really that was the best part about it. It really felt like
Everybody except for Timothy Chalamet.
except for Timothy, yes, and that was hilarious. The running joke through like every kind of scene was making fun of Timothy Chalamet for what he said. So
I don't even know if that translated when they aired it live, but like in person, it was like, oh my gosh, another dig. There was just dig after dig after dig. I was like, good.
I felt like we heard it like more than you would have noticed probably at home watching, but it was like every second. I was like, oh, okay, got him. But he was good about it though. He didn't, he didn't cry, didn't pout, so he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I had a great time. And shout out to Ryan Coogler again and Michael B. Jordan. Great wins, loved it. Black excellence. Yes. Yes. Anyway, getting right back into it. I wanted to do a movie. I was like, oh, let's see what's out. And I was like, oh, the drama. So it's a rom-com starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And I was like, okay. And in the previews, I'm like, it seems like a little rom-com-ish. So I was like, oh, I remember the tennis movie she did, and I actually enjoyed it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to check and see this out. And boy, did I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Basically, it's a story about a happily engaged couple put to the test when an unexpected turn sends their wedding week off the rails. And when it really sets it off the rails is later on in the movie that we actually get a flashback in time of how they met, and they're telling their friends their story because they're writing their letter to each other for the wedding. And so leading up to that, they're going to do a wine tasting and pairing with the food for the wedding day. And they're with their friends, another couple that are introduced throughout the movie. And they're sitting down and talking about, what's the worst thing they ever did. And so they all go around the table, and then this opens up a can of like, you don't even know. And so what I'm going to do for this episode, I'm not going to spoil it. So it's going to be really tough, but we're going to talk about it without spoiling it. All right? Can you do that, Rob? We're going to talk about it without spoiling it for everybody else. Does that make sense?
I can make that work.
Okay, let's do it. So my question to you, Rob, going into this movie, what did you expect? Did you expect like the cheesy rom-com laughing, especially with Pattinson and Zendaya? Or did you expect something out of the norm, or this on cue about what you were going to expect for a movie like this?
Well, I really hadn't heard too much about the film. I hadn't really seen too much promo for it. I did see Zendaya's press tour, all of her beautiful gowns that she did, the something, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So she did the whole wedding themed gown tour, which was amazing. She ended it recently with that beautiful Schiaparelli dress that she wore with all the like feather detail, and it was like blue at the top and then blue on the bottom. It was stunning. as she is stunning. So I knew it had something to do with like a wedding theme based on that, but I didn't know too much detail. It's 824, so I just figured it was going to have some kind of edge to it. But again, I didn't really know what I was walking into, and it was actually a pleasant surprise. It was very refreshing. I hadn't seen this concept before. I just thought they took a really fresh, unique, the writer took a very fresh, unique approach to telling this story. And one that raised a lot of questions. I sat in the movie and I had a lot of questions. So I hope we can.
Yeah, we can definitely get into that. So what I love how the story takes off. We again, like as I mentioned earlier, is that we're going back to see how they met. So you see how silly Robert Pattinson's character is. You know, he's nervous around Zendaya. Also, we find out that she has a hearing issue. We don't really find out how that happens until later, which goes into another level of conversation. But it's like, okay, so I'm thinking right off the bat when I'm watching, it's like, oh, wow, this is going to be on some next level stuff, right? I can't really hear you. So there's loving stuff. And there's scenes, right, where she's like, I can't hear you, but talk in my ear, and I'll try to make it out on the other ear. And it's a cute. He says these things like, I love you, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. And you're like, oh, my God, this is like a really cute love story. I can't wait to see what happens. But then that table scene, and shout out to Elena Haim and what's the brother's name? Mamadou. He's amazing. I loved him in the wine person, the blah, blah, no, the wine people. They're called
sommelier.
Thank you, Chief. Woo! It's like saying Charcuterie Board. I was like sommelier. Yes, there you go. See, I got it back. So he plays a great movie on Netflix, and he's a sommelier. He's learning to be a sommelier, and so I love that brother since that movie. I was like, oh, this is great. So he plays Elena Haim's husband, and they're friends of the couple, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson's characters. And so they're going around the room, and you hear some like weird stuff, and then it opens up so many questions. So I want to ask you, Rob. Elena says we'll give away hers. We just won't give away the big one. So her husband, played by Mamadou, says he did something with a dog, and you know it led into this, and he didn't really want to tell it, but he's like, if I say my thing, everybody's got to go around the room and say it. And so you're not thinking anything of it. And then Elena goes like, she was watching a kid and locked him in a room, and I was like, yo, and I was like, that's crazy. And then Robert Pattinson's character talks about, hey, I cyberbullied a kid when I was 14. And then Zendaya tells her story, and you're like, wait a minute, what? And it really made you question, like, hey, if I found something about my loved one later on in life, especially the week before I'm going to get married, am I second guessing them or what? So what would you do in that situation? What did you think about that kind of the way it was laid out?
Well, I'll say first, I think Elena Haim did a great job because I hate her. I think she is.
I love her music. I love it. I'm a big fan of Haim.
I hate her character. I'll say that. I think
she was annoying.
She is a disgusting human being, and she is the epitome of what horrible people look like. And she is, to me, like the villain of this film. She is the person who I believe is the catalyst for everything bad that happens in the world. Like people like her.
Really?
Yes, because she is unaware of her own like horridness as a human being. The way she treats her husband is deplorable, and I think all of this speaks to the overall theme of the film. Right? The way she deals with her husband is deplorable. She does not think the thing that she did is bad because she says she didn't pre-plan doing it. It was just a spur of the moment thing, and it wasn't. She just locked somebody up. Her neighbor, who had special needs, asked to show her something in the woods. They took a long journey through the woods. They found an empty trailer full of porn and liquor bottles, and she locked him in a closet, which resulted in a manhunt for the missing child. And she never spoke up and left him locked in a abandoned trailer full of alcohol and porn for a whole maybe 2 days. And you think what you did isn't deplorable? And she somehow thinks that she's holier than thou because she didn't premeditate the activity that she did to a special needs kid. So all of that to say, I think what I was saying is the greater theme of this film to me is, are we the sum total of our worst moment? And are people in our lives able to see past that moment, or can they like Or will they like will the bad moment we had in our life overwhelm everything positive that we've ever done or ever become, right? And I thought it was a really cool theme. I thought it was a really great approach to telling this story. And yes, it was very interesting because we start to, or we're motivated to lose sight of who Zendaya's character is from the moment we met her. And we've grown to love this woman for the first 35 minutes of the film. And this one instance, everything drives you to try to hate her for the mistake she could have made. Right. So that was a very interesting approach to me. I really hate Alana.
So I'm going to add to that. So as you mentioned earlier, you do love Zendaya's character because she's so cute, but in a way that she's telling you, like, there's a scene when Robert Pattinson, when they first meet, he messes up, and she goes, let's start all over again. And that's kind of like the theme throughout the movie. Like she's like, hey, let's just do this all over again and let's start fresh. And then instead of holding that grudge, she's trying to start a restart and kind of see where they're at. And so you begin to love her character and get to understand her a little bit more. So when that happens, I'm like, oh, who am I judging here? Do I have the right to judge? But I love Elena in this movie because I think she represents basically America and how we're so hypocritical about who we are. We'll say all these negative things, but then go right behind the back and be like, oh, you're doing this?
100%.
Like Kristi Noem and her husband. I'm like, yo, really? And I'm like, you're trying to make, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, it was so hypocritical. Like you're watching people, and even her husband was like, yo, you got some nerve. Like you did something just as crazy. So that led to, like, you were frustrated and angry, but you needed to be the villain. But then later, Robert Pattinson maybe becomes the villain as well, right? And just he's processing things. So you also watch the movie as her fiance is processing, hey, my wife did something but didn't do something. How do I process that overwhelm? So as a partner, I had to think about this. Have anybody in my life? And I remember one of my partners, they had to take meds, and I didn't know what they took meds for. I didn't even know they were taking meds. And I was with them for like over a year and stuff. And one day their energy was on a different flow, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I was like, and then some of my friend was like, oh, she on her meds? Did she take her meds? And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, she takes it. I was like, oh, and I was like, yo, like, you got to tell me, at least if I'm going to be with a different person, like, I'd like to know what I'm walking into. So I don't think I'm crazy, and I'm not going to judge you on your craziness. But I was like, yo, I think that's unfair, because then I'm going into a relationship not knowing who you truly are, or truly can be. So I started thinking about that situation. Like, wow, imagine finding that a week before you're getting married to someone. Like, does that change your decision? And that's what kind of plays out throughout the movie. And you're just like, and then which leads you to doing stupid stuff, right?
But that was the question for me too. So that led to my other question. It's like, when you get into a new relationship, are you expected to share every single thing about yourself with the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with? Are you expected to tell the darkest, deepest secrets of your soul? Do you feel obligated to share everything with everyone, or can some things in your life be left a secret?
That's a good question, Rob. That's a good question. I only think that it changes when you're getting married.
Does it?
I mean, because the whole point of it, hey, if you listen, if you don't sign a prenup, you can do whatever you want. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah, but is there anything you have ever done in life, or anything you've ever thought in life, that you kept to yourself and you never share with another person? Do you feel like you have to share the intimate thoughts that you've had, or the intimate moments that you've had, even if you never followed through on something that could have been terrible? Do you feel like you have to share that with other people?
Well, that's different though. I think you're equating the thoughts on different levels. Like, I've had a bad thought about this. Like, I wanted that person to go. Like, I have a bad thought about the current president in office, but it's not, I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
But nothing was actualized. So
yeah. So I think that's different though from her perspective. No, because like, without giving it away, it was detailed, right? And that means you're basically still going to do that. Whereas like I have nothing detailed, it's just a thought I have. So I can't hold somebody on a thought versus action, you know?
It was still an idea that wasn't actualized. So again, do you feel that if you've ever had something that you thought of doing, planned to do, wanted to do, and you, for example, there have been people that, you know, may have thought about harming themselves, and they may have did the process of doing things, put the things in motion to harm themselves, but didn't do it. Do you feel like that's something, if it was intimate, it was with you, do you feel like you have to tell someone that happened? Like you didn't follow through with it, so why do you have to share it? Can that be a secret that you hold to yourself?
I don't know. We got to think about that. I got to ask more people. I don't know. That's tough. It's tough. I guess if it's gonna change, if you're not that person anymore, and I think I'd have to understand the level of what you did to go through with it. Like, you know, if you still didn't do it, okay, that's fine. And I think I can pass. I think I can actually, if that happened to me in my life, I could actually move forward with it. I thought about it. I sat there in a movie and I was like, oh, could I? Yeah, because I was like, it was when you were young. I mean, it was a totally different mindset. The world was crazy. And depending where you grew up, right? Like you were more prevalent to this or prevalent to that. So not excusing it, but yeah, when you said Elena, like hate, like her to judge like that, I would have been more, a better friend would have been like, oh my God, how are you now? Like, and I was waiting for someone to say that, like, hey, how have you worked through that? And that was a big thing that I don't think America works through, right? It's just hey, you got to move on, right?
See, that's the problem too. Like, I felt like her fiance, played by Robert Pattinson, he tried to do that. And for me, it was too much. If a person tells you, you've pushed me to a limit, please don't continue to push me. But you feel that you personally need some kind of closure with your understanding of what another person went through, and you don't respect their boundary of asking you to stop, who is at fault? Because again, like he could not convince himself to let go of something that he created or fabricated an idea about.
He couldn't even comprehend it either, though. That's another. I think that's the craziest part on everybody sitting around the table. No one could comprehend that you being pushed to that level.
But it's nobody's place to comprehend that, right? So I'll share a personal. I'll share a personal story, and I don't mind. Someone brought a gun to school to shoot me in middle school, right?
Yeah.
Because I was a very nice kid, but what compelled someone to take an action to try and harm me? And like I would say, that was middle school. That was a very long time ago. Would I hold him to account as saying he's a bad person now, or could I allow myself to see that he could have evolved into a different person? He could have been going through things as a kid. I don't know what his home experience was like. So I'm like, can we allow ourselves to give people grace? And that's what I was seeing no one do with her character, based on them having an understanding that she almost did a bad thing when she was a kid. And when she almost did a bad thing, now everyone's like, well, you're a horrible person. And even to the point where her fiance, like you said, he began to fantasize, and we got to see some of the fantasies, right? We got to see his fantasies. We got to see her fantasies. She was fantasizing of what everybody else was possibly
the negative part.
Yeah. So we go down this rabbit hole of negativity. And I think that was a brilliant way for this story to be told, because again, I don't think everything that we have gone through is the worst thing we've done cannot be the sum total of us as a person. And I think sometimes if you have a secret, some secrets are left to be kept. Okay. It's not a secret if you share it.
I'm gonna use that next time. It's not a secret. I don't share it, girl. See how far you get with that. Also, I want to give a shout out to the director Christopher Borgoli. He also did Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage in 2023. So this one, his pieces make you think, and this definitely is a thinking with an underlying tone of coming off as a rom-com. But man, it is some deep dive conversation, which I love. So it's kind of tough when I'm going to go to like meet up with some friends later for the weekend for Easter. And I'm like, I don't want to give this movie away because you need to see it and this conversation needs to be had. But it's tough to have, because it's such an in-depth conversation about what's going on and how, especially in America, and how that new wave of kids that had to deal with this. It was so prevalent growing up. When we grew up, it was just, oh, okay, every now and then, like, oh, what is this? But now it's like, it's just like, you know, opening up a door, turn on the light.
But anyway, I think it also spoke to bully culture, right? And I think it not only bully culture for kids, but bully culture for adults. And especially like everyone around her, except for Mamadou's character, because he seemed to be level-headed. But Rachel, played by Alana Haim, who I thought did a fabulous job because I hate her in the movie. She was the epitome of a bully. She was a horrible, horrible human being. And she couldn't see in herself the bully. And she was bullying everyone. She was gossiping about people at the wedding. She was gossiping about the bride at the wedding. She was bullying the bride at her job. She neglected to do the work at the job. And then when she got fired, she began to spread the rumor that Zendaya's character is the one who fired her for no cause. When you weren't responding to anyone at work.
I was like, she reached out to you several times. Like, that's on you.
And her boss reached out to you. So at this point, I'm like, you're a bully. Like, you're a horrible human being. And she couldn't even see in herself the bully. She locked the little boy in a trailer in the woods and didn't see the horrid behavior in herself.
Like, you did an action. She didn't do an action. Like, who's worse? And God forbid, if they didn't find the kid, where would you be now?
And in life now, who's a good person and who's not? Like, you're clearly a horrible human being, and you are placing judgment on a woman who's evolved from the worst moment of her, the worst experience of her life.
I love also that the movie makes you reflect about where you're at in life, and that there are always people going through some stuff. And so I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, we walk around sometimes. I mean, I'll just speak for myself, but we walk around in general just like, ooh, you know, about life. And, you know, everybody could be going through something, and we never take the time to acknowledge that, or just like, oh man, are you okay? Everything all right? So it's very interesting, especially when it comes to relationships and getting closer to marriage and kind of stuff like that. Question for you. Did you think the transition was smooth in terms of like the tone of the underlining theme of what they wanted to get the message across? Did you feel they did it in a smooth way, or was it kind of forced or jammed down your throat?
No, it was beautifully done. It was so perfectly done. And that's why I think I think the writers and the directors of this film did such a phenomenal job, because it was a seamless transition. And the reason it was seamless is because we got to see a shift in everyone's behavior when they found out a tiny bit of information. And that tiny bit of information, I think this is what we do in life, right? I was just having this conversation with a friend who was going through a breakup, because my friend was like, oh, I missed this and I missed that. I said, you are glorifying a monster. Like, you just literally got out of a relationship with a monster, but now you're only remembering the good moments. And I think we do that quite often. And this was a mirror of the opposite, right? We were seeing people who were in like the most beautiful, glorious moments of a relationship. Like you said, you know, she was deaf in one ear and he whispered in her ear, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone in my life. And I'm too afraid to tell you that I want to marry you, but I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And then she couldn't hear him.
True actor right there. He remembered the whole monologue, by the way. That's to a T. That's to a T. That was good. That was good.
Because it brought me to tears. So we got to follow the journey of this beautiful relationship. It was to the point where he was writing his speech that he wanted to give to her at the wedding. And when he was reading it to his best man, it brought his best man to tears, because it was their relationship was so layered and so beautiful from the moment they met. And that one bit of information caused confusion and distrust and all of these feelings that he couldn't figure out how to justify. And I think they did a beautiful job of showing the transition. And again, they showed it through us having a glimpse into the mind of each person, because they both were seeing the ugliest thing that their partner could possibly do with that information. And then we saw them spiral out of control. So it was this gradual shift from love to confusion to disgust. So we saw that transition, but it was so well crafted that you didn't feel like it was jarring, because you followed the journey with them.
What do we think about the acting level here from both of them?
Oh my God, they were both
Like, did
phenomenal.
they? You know, like we always watch these movies with people. They're the same. But did you feel like that? It was like, oh wow, we see another layer to them,
Oh,
or kind of the same old?
absolutely. And there's a reason Zendaya is like the highest paid actress that in history this year is for Black actresses in general. I think there's a reason why she's doing this level of work, and it's very interesting because I thought about this while I was at the end of the film. We got to see her go from a child actress to, I think the first time we kind of started to see a major change was Challengers. And then now we're getting to see this new version of her where she's playing very layered, complex women as opposed to like a young girl or a teenager. Now we're starting to see her transition into these complex women. And I think this, for example, was very much different from her character in Challengers. Her character in Challengers was very confident, was very self-assured, knew who she was as a human being, and was very driven. Her character in this film is a broken child who is now on the path of reinventing herself because of that worst thing that happened, the worst thing that ever happened to her, and worried that the world is judging her. And now she finds someone who loves her what she thinks is unconditionally. So it's very interesting because those characters are so different. And this was also to me a new Robert Pattinson. I think that I've never
Yeah,
seen.
I think Robert really stole the scene for me, man. There was a quiver he did, and there was a facial expression. I was like, oh wow, like, you know, when directors say like that's it. Like there was a look he did. I was like, oh wow, like he has a layer to himself, because it always comes across everybody's hated on him since all the teen movies back in the day, and then even when he was going to do Batman, I kind of like that Batman, and I was like, okay, I'll give him a shot, and he was great on. They were really great on screen together, their chemistry. I was going to compare a performance to Malcolm and Marie, like those layers, like that was for me. That's her top movie in terms of acting so far. For me, remember we watched that Malcolm Marie? It was black and white with Washington's character. And so I love that. They basically, he's award winning. They're coming back to dinner after dinner, and then they're arguing back and forth. And it was beautifully shot. But her layer of like going through crying and, you know, just everything, and just being a woman also, it made me question, though, not her blackness, but in terms of where we're at, did she just happen to be born in a better time for movies? Because I'm thinking about, one, it's kind of unfair that she gets away with it. I think there's only one other person of color that I could think of, and tell me if I'm wrong, but Zoe Saldana gets away with it as well, where you don't see a person of color on screen, right? And so when I'm watching this now, I'm just watching a performance. I don't see a black actress. I see a performance. And it's very rare that I see, just for me when I was watching this film. And I was like, it's crazy. I think she gets away with a lot because she can navigate screens that I don't know if you could do that, 20 years ago, you know, even 15 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm thinking about Halle Berry movies. I'm thinking about all, what's the name with Will Smith back in the day. It's just like, to be on a standalone movie next to a white man, right? This is how much it's changed. And just hold your own, number one, but also have that space to hold your own, and still a movie that's supporting you. Does that make sense?
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm
not saying it, but I just like, are we in a comfortable era for black women to really succeed in films and given that chance? Or is she able just to manipulate the situation in scenes? I don't know. It's a positive, I mean, but it's just, I don't
know. I don't think it's either of those, because I mean, there's always going to be challenges with representation, but I don't think that, I mean, we've seen Kerry Washington, you know, across from white male leads often. Like,
no, but I see her as a sister. That's my argument.
I see a woman of color when I see Zendaya. I don't see a ambiguous character. The same with like any woman who's fair or biracial. If I see their ethnicity, I see the beauty in them. I see it. Like I see them as a woman of color. Like Thandie Newton, I see her. Like you said. Who else did you name?
Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana, Rosario Dawson. Like I see I see
What's the
them.
name who played the Little Mermaid? I saw a black, because they
Yeah.
label her like that. I just think sometimes when I look at the screen, I mean, again, I'm not trying to make it bad or good. I'm just saying there's sometimes when she's on a screen, it's like the race thing is erased, and you actually can just see somebody. Like, imagine a world. Hear me out. Imagine a world where now I'm just watching a movie.
I never want to see that. I never want.
Okay.
I want forever. I want people to see the gloriousness of my blackness. I don't ever want the experience to be, where
well, now you're just being. My point of that is now you're just being judged as an actor, and not a black actor, not a black actress. Does that make sense?
But I think that's a societal thing, and I don't think that.
Of course.
I think you're able to do that maybe because you are black, so you can look at her and see her as just an actress. Whereas I truly believe anybody who's not black is going to see her as a black woman while they watch it. They're going to see her as she is. I think that have they tried to do that in the past? Have they tried to, portray people of color? Like, I think they've tried to do that with J-Lo before, and it doesn't work. Like, we see people. We see the beauty in people's culture.
I think they look at it as a lens as like Michael. Like, if I would talk to kids, the next version of Michael, that the layers of he was light. And I remember arguing with kids when I was young. I was like, they were like, "Yeah, Michael is a white guy. He's crazy how talented he is." I'm like, "Wait, what'd you say?" And I had to go. I was like, "No, you are not gonna whitewash Michael Jackson up in here." Okay. And so sometimes I think not knowing who she was, if you were just to watch the movie, average white person, we could do a whole survey of a room. They'd watch the movie. They'd be like, "Oh, get out of here. She's black." They'd be like, "Get the hell out of here." That's all I'm saying. Leave it on. We're gonna move on. All right. Anyway, great part of that. My comments only. I'll own that. Team Zendaya all day. Who do you at the end of the movie? Is Robert Pattinson's actions justified?
Again, that's what I think is so beautifully done about this movie, because each person's going to walk away with their own take on it. And me personally, I believe if you truly love a person, then you have to work to love them through even the moments where you may question your feelings. And this is, my acting coach talks about this all the time. It's very hard to disprove a negative, right? It's very easy to prove a positive, like, oh, we think Rob's a nice person. Okay, great. Everybody thinks Rob's a nice person. But the moment somebody says that I did something deplorable, even if I did it or not, if I did not do it, it's going to be very hard for me to prove to people that I am still the person they always believed me to be, right? Yeah. So I understand why he had a breakdown, but I could never personally be on the same page as him with the way that he handled it, because I would never have gone down that much of a rabbit hole of pain and confusion to the point where I've destroyed my entire life, damn near sexually assaulted my coworker. Like there's just like there's just no world where I can see myself being that frustrated about a piece of information that I get about someone that is not, in my opinion, that devastating. Like, she didn't do anything. She had a moment where she thought about doing something. She could have actualized it, but chose not to. And then through experience, and this is the other thing that I was talking about, bully culture causes certain things, certain types of behavior. And I think the connection she got post the bully experience, because she started to have human connection with people who were bullying her. Yeah. And so
I became an advocate too,
Yeah. And I think her growth from those things was real. And even to the point where he was lying about her real experience of how she evolved out of it, but not giving weight to the fact that she evolved out of it because she had human connection with other people. And maybe we got to see it because we got to the flashback of what actually happened. And maybe it wasn't articulated to him in that way, but for him to like make up lies about how she got through it or why.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was like, I can't, justify his behavior, because I think it was manipulative and childish. And to me, he was his own worst enemy, because he was listening to the idiot wife of his best friend, and he was listening to what other people had to say when he threw out the scenario with no background. It was like very, very confusing to me that he allowed himself to disconnect from the love he had for this woman based on a piece of information that really shouldn't have defined who she was as a person.
Yeah. All right.
I'm so over the top with my comments, but I really was like, this movie was so good. It was so
good. And honestly, when I walked out of the movie, I was like, oh God. I was gonna text you. I was like, did you see this movie yet? But I was waiting for you to say no, I didn't. And I was like, oh, we're not doing this. So I was glad you woke up early. You woke up early this morning and just saw it. So everything's fresh in your head. Beautifully shot too. There was a scene, I don't know if it was purposely done, but he was showing all the flowers that they were doing an arrangement, and you hear like this buzzing. So I was like, oh, is that kind of like her ear? Like she's hearing one part of the room and not the other part of the room. So there's these subtle things throughout the film that were beautifully done.
Yeah, another moment I absolutely loved, and this was a testament to how well it was written, and then how well it was performed too, was when they went to the test photo shoot, and she was describing everything she was gonna do. It was such a funny, dark moment, because it really twisted the knife, because he had just gotten the information the night before, and then that moment just like really made it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then she had to sit there. She's still hungover, and she's dealing with having to like make sure he's okay. And this woman keeps using trigger words, and it was just so well done.
She was great too. The photographer, she was hilarious. I was like, so guys, come on, get together. Smile. Oh, come on, smile. Give me something. Come on. I was crying. I was like,
act like you've known each other forever.
Yeah.
Act like this is the person you know everything about. I'm like, girl, stop talking.
No, again, the chemistry was great on screen. Didn't feel forced at all. Like feel like they really like got a chance. I think because they got to learn how to dance at like that number they did, and that supposedly really, if you really want to, people from two different spectrums or ends of the world to like really get to know each other's dancing, because you have to move together, and they were like the whole entire movie. They were going back and forth, and then they were complimenting each other at the same time. Yeah. My only disappointment is the ending, and I hate that they made it like because that is some listen. If all that stuff goes down like that, the way the whole thing ends, don't give me no rom-com ending. I don't want a rom-com ending.
What?
What do you mean what?
Oh my gosh. I thought I literally started crying, because, and the reason I'm explaining to you why, because when things happen in threes in film, that's kind of the way you solidify it. So in comedy, someone repeats the joke 3 times, or something reoccurs 3 times, it kind of solidifies it with the viewer, right? And we saw, and you kind of touched on this, we saw the rebirth of their relationship. That was her way. That was always her way of recentering them as a couple. So we saw it from the beginning of the relationship. We saw it in the middle of the relationship, and then we saw it at the conclusion of the film. And I thought it was very beautifully done, because we got to see her reset the relationship. That was the way she did it. That was her unique quirk of how she reset the relationship. And I thought it was beautifully done.
Thank you for the class 101. Appreciate it. I didn't say it wasn't beautifully done. What I said is I didn't like the ending. You see, you only like to hear one thing. You didn't hear I didn't say the ending stuff. I said I didn't like the ending. It was beautifully done, but I didn't want it to be a again, the threes. I didn't want it to be that. I wanted you to just throw that's it. Like let me loud sound, because at this point the problem is in rom-coms, and you when you got people in relationships, they think this stuff is real. That it doesn't happen like that, ladies and gentlemen. That stuff happens. It's over.
Well, I don't think somebody gets headbutted in the middle of a wedding either. Like, I don't think
it's happened.
Well, I think this has happened too. I think people have gotten to a point where they felt like they were at a point of no return, and then the two people come back and reconnect. And I think I think it's possible. Again, it's make believe. So we can, as long as it lives in a space that I believe is, there's some kind of
I guess when you look at movies, we go to watch movies to escape for whatever long period of time that is. So if you're living vicariously through these characters, you're hoping that everything comes back full circle. So yes, if you're looking for that, this movie does that.
Yes. Did you want it to have a dark ending?
Oh yeah, after all the crap I just dealt with, I wanted it to be like, yeah, nah, man, because I don't think his actions justified. Again, she did nothing, he did something.
But see, then you have to, okay, then it wouldn't have made sense. And hold on.
I understand, but he could have done stuff, but not that stuff.
But see, he tried in the end, and that's what I'm saying. So the movie would not have made sense if it could have it could have made sense in a way, but it would have been a tragedy. It's a tragedy if the main characters don't realize the fault of their own behavior and they don't make the choice that is the choice that they've been kind of led to make the entire movie. So it's like The Wrestler is a tragedy, right? Everything in his life is telling him you need to stop wrestling and focus on the real love you have in your life, or it's going to be detrimental to you. Even the doctor tells him, like, don't get back in the ring or you're going to die. So in the end, he dies because he gets back in the ring and he wrestles and he dies. So it's a tragedy. But this, I think, is different because we see Robert Pattinson's character in the end realize the fault of his own behavior, and he realizes it through that speech that he gives at the wedding, and he realizes, I am the problem. And that's when he tried to tell her, I am sorry, I am the problem. I am the reason that this moment is happening because I didn't love you the way I should have through this moment. And he realizes that in the moment. So if in the end she was like, F you, and ran away, it kind of would have been like, ugh, I don't know how I feel about this.
I think, again, it's tough because you can't give away spoilers, but I think if he didn't get caught for his actions, I don't think he goes that deep in that speech, number one, because remember, he deleted the first one, right? Second,
I disagree.
He literally was like, what are you doing? Okay. Second, I was like, is she gonna get hit by a car? Honestly.
What?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting because I thought, hold on, hear me out. I thought that would have changed the whole dynamic. And then, hold on, everything you said, because he would have realized, wow, I messed up because I was letting this take over my body and my mind, and I should just live in the moment and love the person I was with. And now I can't even get that back. That would have been deep.
That would have been the cheapest way.
No, not cheap at all.
It would have been an easy way to shock the audience without making an effort to tell a story.
There's no I wanted no makeup after that. I wanted to be like, what are we doing? Yes, you effed up, and this is what it cost you.
But again, you're following the story of two broken people who find happiness in each other, and that happiness is.
So you think his character's broken before that happens?
Yes.
Okay. What leads you to be that?
His mannerisms, the way he carries himself, the way he moves through life. He was not a very confident person. She brought a new kind of energy to him that he didn't have. And like, even the way, honestly, the open of the film, I thought he was a serial killer, the way he was behaving. Like, he was very, very, and like he even took in the room, and he felt like everyone was looking at him like he was a crazy person because of his behavior. And he was a very unconfident person. And she brought an air of like self-awareness and confidence to him that he didn't have before. We didn't even need to have the journey of his life before her to see, because Robert Pattinson did such a good job of embodying that character, so we knew who he was before he met her.
I still don't like that. All right.
One other thing I want to talk about. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Another thing that I thought was and I'm moving my hands so much, I know people are like, why is he moving? So we got to see the horrid behavior of everyone else in the world. So the question becomes, what is unforgivable? Because the DJ for the wedding had a vice. That was terrible.
Allegedly, we don't know what it was.
It was her. We know it was her.
No, but we don't know if it was actually like
crap. We know what it was. It was that. And I think that's why they present all these
Sure.
things. The DJ she had a horrible vice, right? The best friend, her best friend, her bridesmaid had a horrible vice. She was a horrible person. The coworker, she was a cheater. She had a horrible
history of that. Yeah.
So I think they kept presenting all of these people subconscious, like we were like being fed all of these people.
Yeah. These are people that go through life judging everybody else, but they're doing the same crazy stuff.
But they have horrible vices, or they do horrible things. And we have judged this woman who we came to love for the one thing that she did in her life that she felt like was the worst possible thing she could have ever done. So to me, I think they did a great job of showing all of these other people who did horrible things. And even the stories of what's the worst thing you ever done. All three of them did horrible things, but all three of them did horrible things that were kind of living in the world of bullying, right? He cyberbullied somebody. She locked somebody in a trailer. He held his girlfriend in front of a dog that
defended. That's crazy.
He saved himself. He threw his girlfriend in front of a vicious stray dog. So like, what is the worst thing you've ever done? And we got to see all of these people walking through the world who do horrible things. And I think they also pose that question: how many people in America have maybe gotten close to doing that? And it's probably more people than we know.
Wow. All right. If you could describe this movie to somebody in one word, what would you do? What would you use?
In one word?
Yeah.
That's hard. One word is hard.
Sorry, one word.
Explain the movie?
Yeah.
Perspective, maybe?
Well, do one word to describe the experience of the movie.
Oh, okay. Refreshing.
Ooh, refreshing.
I haven't seen anything like this, and I'm glad it's not the same thing.
That's a good. You know what, Rob? That's a good choice of words. Refreshing. All right, I like it. This movie just came out in theaters this weekend. It's a really good film. I recommend everybody check it out. Bring a friend, because I wanted to talk to somebody about it right after, as I had nobody to talk about it. My girlfriend's in San Diego, so I couldn't talk about it. But anyway, I recommend, but be prepared, because then they're gonna ask you crazy questions. See, that's another thing. You might want to see it with another friend, just a random friend, not your partner, and then sitting with your partner afterwards, because you're prepared for the questions that are gonna happen afterwards. Because that's what's gonna happen. So tell me, what's the worst thing you ever done? I'm like, So anyway, there you go. Keep it moving. But anyway, I enjoyed the film. I recommend it. What you giving a rating, player?
A 10 out of 10.
Whoa, there we go. We haven't had one of those in a while. Yes. 10 out of 10.
A 10 out of 10.
Yes. Zendaya. Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're trying to do this again until the summer comes. We're going back into it.
I mean, there's so many movies coming out. How could we not?
I know. We got a lot. Thank you, Rob, for your time today. Have a wonderful Easter weekend, everybody. Be safe and peace.